Welcome student. Welcome student. Now in this second semester of history, we will continue with this lesson, that is lesson number 8. Lesson number 8, states after the Maurya Empire. States after the Maurya Empire. Okay, here is the picture shown. The period of this picture is about from 4th to 6th century. 4th to 6th century. Okay, that is Gupta Empire and different modern cities. Okay, here we have Sopara, the modern name of that city, that is Sopara. Sopara means nowadays we named it as a Nala Sopara in Mumbai, in Thane districts. Okay, now Bharuch, Ujjaini, Malwa, Sanchi, Prayag nowadays we considered again we renamed, that is Prayagraj. Okay, Kannauj, Vaishali, Patliputra means nowadays it is considered as a capital of Bihar, that is Patna. Okay, Bodh Gaya, Champa, and Tamralipti means Kolkata. Nowadays we name that Tamralipti as a Kolkata, near Kolkata. Okay, and the Indraprastha, as we know, as the capital of India, that is Delhi. Okay, Indraprastha. Okay, so here we saw an empire of Gupta dynasty, which covered the whole North India. Okay, and at the south we have powerful king or dynasty, that is Vakataka, and at the end, that is where in Tamil Nadu and Andhra, that is Pallava, Chola in Tamil Nadu, Pandya in Tamil Nadu at the bottom. Okay, so here are the some points as we going to look in these lessons, that is the Shunga dynasty, Indo-Greek kings, then Gupta dynasty, then Vardhan dynasty. These are some dynasties which ruled in the larger portion of India, larger portion of Bharat. Okay, and the last one is the powers in the northeast India. Okay, so let us proceed with the first point, that is Shunga dynasty. Okay, look at this first point, that is Shunga dynasty. The Shunga dynasty. After the Emperor Ashoka, the Maurya power started declining. The last Maurya emperor was called the Brihadrath. So we must come to know the name of the last king of Maurya Empire, that is Brihadrath. Okay, the Maurya general Pushyamitra Shunga revolted against Brihadrath, killed him, and became the king himself. So in Shunga dynasty, which is started from Pushyamitra Shunga, he was the most prominent king of Shunga dynasty. Okay, So at the next point, this is the only point of the Shung dynasty, this much of paragraph. We must know the name of the last king of Maurya Empire, that is Brihadratha, and he was killed by Pushyamutra Shunga in a war. Okay. The next point is 8.2, Indo-Greek kings. Indo-Greek kings. So as we know earlier that the Alexander attacked India. Alexander attacked India, and when he left India, when he left from the border of India, he was died in Babylon. So nowadays Babylon was considered as a Iraq, and many officers who he left behind to control the whole territory. So it in this way there comes the dynasty which is mixed with Indo-Greek. Okay, they are considered as a Indo-Greek kings. So in these kings we have the prominent name of this king, that is Seleucus Nicator, Menander, etc. That Menander is considered as a Milind in Indian language or in Sanskrit language. Okay, so let us look at this point. That is Indo-Greek kings. During this period, there was several small kingdoms ruled by Greek kings to the northwest of Indian subcontinent. Those kings are known as Indo-Greek kings. Indo-Greek kings. In the history of the coins of ancient India, the coins of these kings are very important. They had a tradition of putting the picture of the king on the one side and that of a deity. Deity means the worshipping god, the deity of a worshipping god on the other side. So through these coins we come to know the name of the king and the rule extended of that, how much it extended its rule in that period. Okay, so they already started constructing coins, and that coins are used for trading purpose. Okay, these traditions later took root in India. Which traditions? Making the coins and making the pictures of a king on one side and picture of gods on the other side. This tradition took root in India. One of the famous Indo-Greek king was Menander. Later on it is considered as a Milinda. Okay, this Menander, who discussed the Buddhist philosophy with the Buddhist bhikkhu Nagasena. This is an important name in the history of Buddhist literature, that is Nagasena. Menander is also referred to as Milinda. So Milinda means Menander. Okay, the questions that he discussed with Bhikkhu Nagasena led to the creation of a book, that is Milinda Panha. Panha means question. The question asked by the Milinda or Menander to the Bhikkhu, that is Nagasena. Okay, this is an important book in the history. Through these books we come to know about the Menander and Nagasena and the Buddhist culture of that period. So here we saw the Menander's coin, that is In the first picture, we saw the picture of Menander on one side and the Greek god, the Greek god on the other side. Okay. The next picture is of a gold coin. Okay, gold coin of Kanishka. So we come to these Kushan kings, that is Kanishka. The next point is Kushan kings. So the next dynasty is Kushana, Kushan dynasty. India was invaded from time to time by several tribes. The Kushanas were one such tribes from Central Asia. Central Asia, nowadays we considered Central Asia, that is Iran, Iraq, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, that is considered as a Central Asia. Okay, the tribes this Kushana tribes belongs to Iran, that is Central Asia. They established their rule in the northwestern region and in Kashmir, nowadays Kashmir, in the first century. The Kushan kings were the first to start minting of gold coins in India. So these Kushan king introduced the gold coin as a transaction, as a money in India. They started the custom of putting the images of Gautam Buddha and different Indian deities on the coins. The Kushan kings Kanishka extended their empire. So in the Kushan dynasty, we have an important name of this dynasty is Kanishka. Okay. The Emperor Kanishka. Okay. The Emperor Kanishka's empire extended from Kabul in the west. Now Kabul is the capital of Afghanistan. So in the ancient period, this Afghanistan known as Ahighanistan, or in Mahabharata period, the Shakuni belongs to this Afghanistan or Ahighanistan. In anciently Gandhar, it is considered as a Gandhar. Nowadays it is considered as a Kandahar or Afghanistan. And Afghanistan means, previously it is known as a Ahigana. Ahi means horse. Okay. Ahi means horse. Ahigana Sthan. Okay. So at the ancient time, that Afghanistan or Afghanistan was a part of broader India, that is Akhand Bharat. Okay. Now it is considered as Afghanistan, or Kabul is the capital of that Afghanistan. So the Kanishka's empire extended up to Kabul in the west and Varanasi in the east. Varanasi means Kashi in UP. Okay. Gold and copper coins minted by him have been found in North India. The fourth Buddhist council was held in Kashmir during his reign. So the Buddhist council, the fourth Buddhist council was held in Kashmir, nowadays Kashmir, in the period of this Kanishka. He established the city of Kanishkpur in Kashmir. It is believed that the village Kampur near Srinagar today could be a Kanishkpur. So Kampur, nowadays it is considered as a Kampur. Okay, in Kashmir. The well-known poet Ashwa Ghosh. So At the period of the Kanishk, we come to know the name of the famous poet, that is Ashwaghosh. We must remember this name, Ashwaghosh, okay, who lived in the period during the reign of Kanishk. Okay, he wrote the text Buddha Charita and Vajra Suchi. In the Buddha Charita and Vajra Suchi, from the writer of these two books are Ashwaghosh in the period of Kanishka. Okay, the famous Vaidya Charak also belongs to this Kanishka's court. Okay, so the Kanishka was the famous king whose court was full of the intelligent people. The Charaka is known for his writings, that is Charak Sanhita. Okay, Charak Sanhita. It is a medical document or medical book which is written by this Charaka, okay, who is in the court of Kanishka. Here is the coin of Kanishka king. Okay, at the one side there is a picture of Kanishka, and on the other side we have name or a picture of a Buddha. Okay, here is a script. Okay, in a Brahmi Lipi, that is Buddha. Okay, the next point is the Kanishka's gold coin. It was minted by the Emperor Kanishka. It has the word Shao Nano Shao Kaneshki Kushano. Shao Nano Shao Kaneshki Kushano one side, and it means the king of kings, Emperor Kanishka Kushana. King of kings, Emperor Kanishka Kushana. On the other side, there is an image of Gautam Buddha. Buddha in the word, that is Bodho, means Buddha, written in a Greek script. So here we have a script, that is Bodho, is in a Greek script, Greek language. Okay, not Brahmi. Okay. On the next page, we have the next point, that is Gupta dynasty. In this Gupta dynasty, India is flourished and as the richest country of the whole world at that period. Okay, so India becomes prosperous in the Gupta dynasty. Okay, it comes to exist in the third century. Okay, in the North India. So let us read this point, that is at the end of the 3rd century CE, that is Christian era, saw the rise of the Gupta dynasty in the North India. The Guptas remained in power for nearly 3 centuries. 3 centuries means 300 years. Okay, Sri Gupta was the founder of the Gupta dynasty. So these 300 years the Guptas were in a power or ruled in India, and in this period of Gupta, India flourished or becomes a very rich country at that period. Okay, so these rulers are very much powerful rulers. Sri Gupta, who started this dynasty, he is considered as a founder of Gupta dynasty. Samudragupta and Chandragupta II was the notable king of Gupta dynasty. So the first, Chandragupta I, is the king who laid the foundation of Maurya Empire, and the Chandragupta II, who is one of the prominent king of Gupta dynasty. Okay, These Samudragupta and Chandragupta II were the notable kings belongs to this Gupta dynasty. Samudragupta. The next point is Samudragupta. The expansion of Gupta Empire began during the reign of Chandragupta I. Chandragupta I, his son Samudragupta defeated the Chandragupta's son, that is Samudragupta defeated. So here we have Chandragupta Maurya is the another person which belongs to the Maurya Empire. After declining the Maurya Empire, there comes the Shung dynasty, and after Shung we come to know that is the Kushana dynasty of Kushana dynasty, that is Kanishka, and after that we come to know the Gupta dynasty. In this Gupta dynasty, the Chandragupta I was notable king, and his son, that is Samudragupta, who extended his empire whole India, and the son of Samudragupta was Chandragupta II. Okay, his son, the Chandragupta I, his son, that is Samudragupta, defeated the smaller neighboring kingdoms and extended the empire further. In his time, the Gupta Empire spread from Assam to Punjab in the west. He had also conquered the eastern coastal region up to Kanchi in Tamil Nadu. Due to these victorious, his power came to be recognized everywhere. As a result, kings on the northwestern frontier as well as those in Sri Lanka made treaties of friendship with him. A pillar inscriptions at Prayag describes Samudragupta's conquest and victories. So here we have a pillar in Prayag which gives us information about the war of Samudragupta. This inscriptions is known as a Prayag Prashasti. Prayag Prashasti. Nowadays it is considered as a Prayagraj. Okay. He was an expert veena player, so he was very fond of the music. He minted coins which had a variety of images, engraved on them. In one of them, he is seen playing the veena. His name Samudragupta is engraved on it. Here is a gold coin of Samudragupta on the both side. Okay. Here and this picture. Okay. It is a gold coin. Now look at the next point, that is Chandragupta II. Okay, after Samudragupta, his son Chandragupta II ascended the throne. He extended the Gupta Empire towards the northwest. He also won Malwa, Gujarat, Saurashtra. Nowadays Malwa is in the Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Saurashtra. He established good relations with the powerful Vakataka from Maharashtra rulers in the south by giving his daughter Prabhavati in a marriage to Rudrasen II of Vakataka. There is an iron pillar at Mehrauli near Delhi. It has not rusted even in the course of last 1500 years. So at that time metallurgical excellence was very, very high, because after 1500 years also that iron pillar not rusted. Okay, it is an excellent specimen of the metallurgical skill of the ancient Indian people. The inscriptions on the pillar bears the name of king called Chandra. Chandra means Chandragupta II. It is on the basis that iron pillar is assumed to be of the period of Chandragupta II. In this period, the Chinese traveler Fa Phayan come, came to India during the reign of Chandragupta II. In his travelogue, he has described the social life during the Gupta period. So these travelers write a diary, which is write a diary, and through this diary we come to know the social situations of that period. He says that Indian cities are big and prosperous. There are several guest houses that is called as a dharmashala. Okay, for travelers and also several charitable organizations. The cities has hospitals where the poor get medical treatment free of charge. There are great vihars and temples, which is constructed in the Buddha followers, by Buddha followers. Okay, that is called vihars. Peoples are free to choose any occupations. They move about freely. There are no restrictions on their movement. Government officers and soldiers are paid their salaries regularly. People do not drink alcohol and or commit violence. The administration of Gupta rule is conducted in a proper and efficient manner. So, because of this proper and efficiency, these Guptas were ruled over 300 years in India. 300 years in India. Okay. Now, students, we will stop here and we will continue with these lessons in the next lecture. Here is a picture we see, that is Yuan Shuang, who come in the period of Harshvardhan, Samrat Harshvardhan, okay, who ruled over the North India. And this Yuan Shuang also write many things about his travels throughout India. Okay, he is a famous traveler, Yuan Shuang. Okay, now we will stop here and we will continue with these lessons in the next video. Okay.